Welcome, this is Automotive Anonymous, and that's the 2024 Subaru Ascent Onyx Limited. And it's actually one of the best new vehicles you can buy, and although it's mostly unchanged for this new model year, it's still a very desirable 7-seater family SUV, and there's a lot that we need to talk about. So I'm gonna do a walk around, go through the specs, initial driving impressions, 0 to 60 on GPS, and then my final thoughts to help you decide if this could be worth your time and money, or if it's a waste of money for you. Big thanks to Twin Falls Subaru for letting me borrow theirs for the day, and let's dive right in with this review. But if you're new to my channel, it's worth me mentioning that I've reviewed all 8 trim levels of the Subaru Ascent last year, and then I'm a Subaru owner myself. I've owned a Crosstrek Premium and an Outback Wilderness each for over 2 years, so I have a lot of bum time in the seat of modern Subarus. So there's a lot that I want to share if you're considering becoming a Subaru owner or joining the Ascent Club. So the Ascent first came out in 2019 after replacing the Tribeca, which was Subaru's previous largest SUV. This is now the 6th model year of the Ascent, and it did have a much needed refresh front end and a few interior updates last year for 2023. I would imagine the second generation of the Ascent could likely come out for 2025 or the following year, but this is a pretty good SUV. The only thing that's new for 2024 is the MSRP has jumped up a couple $100s, which is reasonable and understandable, and much less than a lot of other vehicles jump up from year to year. As mentioned earlier, there's 8 trim levels of this model, and the base still starts about $34,000, so that's basically unchanged from last year. But this is the Onyx Limited. Onyx basically means it's blacked out. Limited basically means it's super duper fancy. So this is the 7th of the 8 trim levels, or the 2nd highest, just below the Touring. And the way this one sits, it's about 46 grand before destination, and the few extra goodies it has that you'll see. So after that, it's about $48,000. So this financially is your average new car sold in America right now. But when you're going Onyx Limited, you get the StarTech seats, the panoramic roof, navigation, the 360 cam, and Harman Kardon speakers. So it feels pretty loaded. It's pretty luxurious when you're driving it and behind the wheel. I'm gonna show you under the hood more in just a minute, but there's only one powertrain configuration for the Ascent. It's a pretty stout little turbo boxer engine with a CVT that simulates 8 automatic gears, and then Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive system, which I think is far superior to what a lot of the competition that this faces is. It's not reactionary, it's mechanical. It's all the time, all-wheel drive, ready to go, ready to take you to the trailhead, to minimal off-roading. Just don't go rock crawling in your Subaru. If you want something more aggressive like that, you're gonna need a body-on-frame SUV. But this does really good, and it has more capacity than most of us are willing to take it on. And then these are actually pretty popular because Subaru sells about 40 to 80,000 of them every single year in the United States. It's even a top safety pick plus and a 5-star crash test rated vehicle. So it has a plethora of airbags, a lot of adaptive safety features like blind spot monitoring, reverse automatic braking, adaptive cruise control, lane centering, really bright LED headlights and fog lights, and everything else I missed I'm overlaying on the screen as I speak. Overall, these are pretty well sized, but you can see there's a lot of overhang on the approach and departure angle, so be careful if you're doing some actual off-roading with it. Otherwise, it's only 16.5 feet long. The wheelbase is 9.5 feet, so it's stable on the road. It's 6.5 feet wide and roughly 6 feet tall, and then it weighs about 4,500 pounds, which conveniently is the same as a full-size hippopotamus. Its towing capacity is 5,000 pounds, so you can tow yourself or a hippopotamus. And then its payload capacity is in how much can you carry, how much can you load it up, is 1,158 pounds. So if all 7 of your passengers are 200 pounds, you are over the limit. Otherwise, it has 8.7 inches of ground clearance, a superior all-wheel drive system as I mentioned earlier, a 444 final drive ratio, so it puts the power down quite well, and then it can do a full circle in 38 feet. The last things to mention here is the gas door is located on the passenger side. When the vehicle's locked, so is the gas door, but when you unlock it, so is the gas door. That way no one's gonna be siphoning your gas. It's a 19.3 gallon tank rated at about 20 city, 25 highway. So your max road trip and range before you run out of fuel is gonna be up to about 480 miles. And then it has 20-inch black wheels with 245, 50, 20 all-season tires. They look really good. Unfortunately, it's only a spare tire underneath the back of the cargo area. And then you can leave the key in your pocket because it has proximity key features on the door. But what you get is lock, unlock, power liftgate, panic button. The door panel looks really nice. It's all soft touch materials, but there's quite a few different kinds of materials in here. It's really interesting. There's green Hobby Lobby stitching, all of your power controls, your memory seats. You even can fold the mirrors in on this one. And you'll notice that this 2024, the blind spot monitoring is the little bit of a nub. It's not the same bigger section it used to be. Harman Kardon speakers, double bottle holder, some snacks. I don't know why it's not extended. And if you guys know what this little cutout is, let me know. I'd like to be more informed because that's weird and I haven't noticed that before. Otherwise, medium-sized Subaru. Rubber mats, rubber pedals, hood release, fuse box, your options, your extra storage, your trip reset, your lighting stock, your StarTex heated power seats, and your panoramic moonroof up top. Sitting inside of here is really nice. The wheel telescopes and can easily find your position. It's heated leather wrapped. You have voice and volume controls on the left with your info button to go through the center display. Your adaptive cruise settings on the right, and to get out of eyesight cruise, you just push the cruise button and then hold that down and it'll beep at you. Otherwise, it's easy to find a nice position. When you fired right up with the push button start, the needles dance, the heads-up display does its thing, and the steering responsive headlights do their own little theatrical display, and it roars to life. You have paddle shifters on the back, your lighting and windshield wiper stock, and then the big 11.6-inch screen. Above it is the driver mitigation system to keep you focused. Basically, when you turn your eyes away from the wheel, from the road, it beeps at you. Otherwise, the screen is okay. It's not my favorite. You have to turn off auto start stop every time. In a lot of other Subarus, but this one doesn't have it, and for that I'm very thankful. Otherwise, you have a 12 volt, some rubber storage. You have your 360-degree cam, which works really well. You have an aux, a couple plugins. Go all the way down to manual mode if you want to take even more control of the CVT gears. Couple cup holders, electronic parking brake, and then a lifty tray in this really big center console, but you'll notice there's no plugins, which I find kind of strange. Otherwise, up top, you have your auto-dimming mirrors with your compass. They also dim the side, which are heated as well. And then you have your mirror to keep an eye on grandma and the kitties in the back seat, and your sunglass holder. You have some lighting. You can slide the sunshade, and then you can easily open up the power moonroof. If it wasn't 40 degrees out today, we would do that. Otherwise, it's pretty nice in here. The seats are fairly comfortable. They're bolstered well enough that they're going to hold a lot of people in place, but not so aggressive that it's going to leave you uncomfortable. Otherwise, let's turn it off. Let's hop to the second row. The second row on the Ascent really shines. It's a very nice place to be. Even the door panel follows all the same theme and design language as the front. Soft touch materials all around, but an abundance of different kinds of materials used. It's tinted from the factory, but you also have an extra sunshade. You even have a bottle holder up top. Harman Kardon speakers, and a pretty similar door pocket to the driver's side. And then you have Subaru on the door sill grip. You can step up to there to get into the back seat, or to get up to the roof rails that come standard on this one for when you're hauling extra stuff on top. Otherwise, it's kind of a tall step to get up. It's almost to my knee level, but when you get into it, it's comfortable. Sitting behind my driving position, I have plenty of room. I have a map pocket. If I need to slide forward and back, I can slide as close or about to that level at 5'11". I'm comfortable back here. And then you have your own controls for the temp, for your plugins. You have some cup holders down here, but you don't have heated seats on this model. It's a captain chair though, so you have your own folding armrest. It's easy to hook up the child safety seats to this if you have little ones. And then the back row, which in my opinion is like the jumper seats of back rows. Full-size adults can fit back here. You could go across town. I don't think anyone you care about that's over 5.5 feet is going to enjoy going back here for long distances. There's plenty of headroom, ventilation, and overall, the Ascent does a pretty good job for only being 16.5 feet. I don't personally think very many three-row SUVs look that attractive, but I would say that the Ascent, especially the rear of it, looks better than average. And when you're back here, you should know a couple key features. There is the PIN code. I have a video on how to set that. You can actually get into your Ascent or any Subaru with the PIN code without having your keys on you. Otherwise, there's 4 ways to get into it. Push the button that's on the dashboard. Climb through the back seats. Push the button that's underneath the Subaru emblem back here. Or use the remote for the power liftgate that you paid for. You even have quite a bit of room back here. With the third row up, you have 18 cubic feet, which might sound pretty good, but keep in mind it's not very deep. It's more the height where you get all of that from. But if you drop the third row with these straps, or you pull them back and push them forward, you have about 47 cubic feet right here. And then if you drop the second row, you have up to about 86. It doesn't lay flat, so it wouldn't be super convenient to car camp back here, but you could figure out a way to make it work. And then the straps pull the seats back up. You have your tools and everything underneath the cargo floor mat. Remember, your spare tires underneath the vehicle like a traditional SUV or truck. And then you have the Harman Kardon subwoofer back here. You have an incandescent light, a 12 volt, and some basic tie downs. Otherwise, to lower the hatch, you can either lower and lock or just lower. There's really nothing new on the passenger side rear. It's a nice place to be. But there's not much to talk about back here that you haven't already seen. Riding shotgun, you still have proximity key features, nice big door panel, Harman Kardon speakers, and all the amenities that a passenger typically gets. Otherwise, medium-sized Subaru on the door sill, rubberized mats, power seats, but you do lose a couple of the controls. Backpack's having a good time. There's nothing stamped into the headrest. No storage on the side of the transmission tunnel, but there is quite a bit above the locking glove box. You can lock it from the key that's inside of your little controller. Otherwise, it's not that large. There's also no 12 volt like you get in the Outback. Otherwise, let's come around to the front. Let me pop the hood for you, and I'll show you what the 2.4 liter boxer engine looks like. Under the hood is a very stout 2.4 liter turbo boxer engine with the top mount intercooler that gets some cold air fed through it, through the grooves in the hood to the internal hood scoop. You'll notice that all of your reservoirs are on the periphery of this. Top mount oil filter, engine oil fill, alternator, serpentine belt, oil dipstick, air filter in the box. Everything is right where you want it to be. There's actually a substantial amount of room under here for a lot of maintenance items if you ever had to work on it yourself. And because the Ascent is a bit bigger, you'll notice that the engine is kind of sunken in compared to the Outback, the Legacy, and the other turbo Subaru models. But overall, it's a good engine. It makes 260 horsepower at 5,600 RPM and a whopping 277 foot-pound-feet of the twisty stuff, as little as 2,000 RPM. So it feels really punchy around town. It quickly gets out of its own way without having to rev it out. Let's drop the hood, take it for a drive. My favorite part, I'm gonna time travel and teleport you to one of my favorite roads. We'll see how it drives, and then we'll meet back here for my final thoughts. Initial driving impressions of the 24 Ascent Onyx Limited is it's really good, just like last year's model. The Ascent basically feels like a bigger version of the Forester, basically the Forester XL. And when you have the captain chairs for the center row, it's really nice. Adults are gonna have a good time back there. Child seats are gonna fit more conveniently back there. And then you basically have the third row as your jumper seats if needed. Otherwise, visibility is fantastic because it's a Subaru product. You can see pretty low outside of any of the windows. The A-pillar, the B, the C aren't very wide. The D is a little bit wider, but that's what those side mirrors are for. And because this vehicle is only 16.5 feet long, you can see right down the center really well as well. A ginormous panoramic sunroof. It does a really good job. It's convenient, it's comfortable. The heated wheel feels great. And at 5'11", I can easily find a comfortable position. I have all the safety features my heart could desire. Being a top safety pick, this is a really good vehicle. Having the 360-degree camera for parking, for backing, for basic trail off-roading, it really offers a lot. You have a lot of cargo capacity, a lot of storage in here. And even the backpack's having a good time. The StarTech seats don't breathe very well, so if you're someone who sweats a lot while driving or you live in a hotter climate, that might be a problem, but for me, in my own Outback wilderness, I don't notice it. I like the StarTechs. They're easy to clean with a warm rag, a warm towel. The brakes work really well on this too. I didn't give it full pedal, so we didn't lock up and trigger ABS, but it still did pretty good. And then at about half throttle, it gets up to speed at fake shifts. But usually when you full throttle it, it'll hold the RPM like a CVT is designed to. Overall, Subaru CVT does seem to do a pretty good job, but this is a big vehicle. It weighs 4,500 pounds. It's basically a rhinoceros down the road, or maybe a hippopotamus. But it's quiet, it's composed. 8.7 inches of ground clearance means it's capable of these all-season tires. And if you have to throw the wheel for any reason, it seems to do a pretty good job managing itself, although it is not a sports car, and it's gonna remind you of that. Anyways, let's get to the private road. Let's do a 0 to 60 and see how fast it is. 0 to 60 in the Ascent, traction's off, brake rev on, let's go. And 0 to 60 came in at 7.99 seconds. Not too bad given the fact that density altitude is under 3,000 feet today. Here's the graph. Well guys, we made it back, and I apologize for the wind that's probably getting picked up on camera. But overall, my final thoughts are the Ascent is an awesome option, especially for a family of more than 4, or someone who occasionally needs to haul some extra stuff in the back, or people in the third row, but you don't want to commit to a larger full-size 3-row SUV. Overall, this one is reasonably quick and efficient for its combined on and off-road capability. It's extremely safe, especially at this price point, and it does a lot of things well to make life just a little bit easier, and that's what makes a Subaru. But ultimately, all that really matters is your thoughts and opinions. Do you like it or not really? Would you buy one, or what else are you considering? I want to know all of that, so leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Like this video if it was helpful, help it to get spread, help it to get shared, and subscribe if you want to watch more. I post at least once a week, and I hope to see you on the next one. Until then, take care.